The details of government's mini-budget tops this edition of the Barbados Today Evening News Update. It's Monday, June 11. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Barbados is back. With those words, Prime Minister Mia Mottley outlined an austerity $1.2 billion adjustment plan over the next 3 years to set the ailing economy, saddled with unsustainable debt, on a path to growth. Admitting that the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Plan is tougher than anything the island had ever had before, she noted it could not be delayed, pointing out that it was coming against the backdrop of warnings from the recent International Monetary Fund mission here that the island was in a precarious economic situation with foreign reserves at US $220 million, while the fiscal deficit was about 4% of the gross domestic product for the fiscal year 2017-2018. The Prime Minister told the nation the economic plan is carefully balanced, insisting that every Barbadian and everyone who wished to share in its rescue and recovery had to play their part.
The Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Plan is carefully balanced. The expenditures in our public infrastructure should not be seen as a cost, but as an investment to secure a higher GDP. And we are grateful for the language of the International Monetary Fund in its wrap-up report as it relates to the need for us to deal with critical infrastructure issues. We cannot have a country going forward with no garbage trucks, bush, no sewage on the streets, no buses, a Supreme Court of all things not functioning with people being able to work in it, schools shutting down on a regular basis every week, a horror story. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reduction of the fiscal deficit in a full fiscal year of $183 million, raising the primary surplus, as I said, from 4 to 6, almost 6%. When we add the results of debt restructuring, sir, we believe that we can still reduce our debt to sustainable levels in 5 years. Yet, this protects the most vulnerable in our society. We do not want to come back to this place.
The package delivers on a number of election campaign promises outlined by the Barbados Labour Party administration. Starting June 1, the dreaded National Social Responsibility Levy will be scrapped. In addition, civil servants are set to get their long-awaited wage hike, non-contributory pensions are up, and welfare benefits have increased.
That the agreement reached between the Ministry of Civil Service and indeed the public service unions of Barbados, all of them collectively, of 5% across the board, an increase in wages and salaries shall become applicable for the period April 1st, 2013 to March 31st, 2019. The cost of this agreement will be $60 million on a recurring basis. This applies, and this cost applies not just to central government, but also to statutory boards. I said 2013, I meant 19. I'm so sorry. That's what happens when you don't sleep. Period April 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2019.
On the revenue side, Barbadians will be paying a range of new taxes, including a fuel tax, which will replace the road tax. Barbadians will also pay the value-added tax on online transactions from sites including Amazon, eBay, or Netflix. In addition, a health service contribution is also being introduced in another 3 months to address the rising cost of health care.
In the interim, we will, sir, raise a 2.5% health service contribution to be collected by the National Insurance Board. 1.5% of insurable earnings will be paid by employers, and 1% of insurable earnings will be paid by employees and self-employed persons. These measures will come into effect on October 1st and is expected to raise $50 million in, it's $45 million, sir. in a full fiscal year and $22.5 million for the balance of this fiscal year.
Citizens will now have to share the cost of garbage collection with the introduction of a new garbage and sewage contribution, which takes effect on August 1.
Households, Mr. Speaker, will pay the equivalent of $1.50 per day for the collection for this garbage and sewage contribution. Of that $1.50, $1.25 will go to the Sanitation Services Authority for the offsetting of its expenditure in garbage collection, and 25 cents will be retained by the Barbados Water Authority towards the maintenance of the contribution towards the maintenance of our sewage systems. In the case of commercial entities, their contribution will be 50% of their water bill, with half of that amount going to the Sanitation Services Authority towards the garbage collection, and the other half remaining with the Barbados Water Authority to offset the costs, the operational costs of the sewage systems.
Meantime, economist Dr. Michael Howard tells Barbados Today the mini-budget was weak on expenditure when compared to the austerity placed on taxation.
I believe the IMF will require a sharp reduction in expenditure given its impact on the foreign reserves. Then I went on to say, I disagree with the abolition of the NSRL. Despite the deficiencies of this tax, the NSRL was necessary to dampen heavy consumption of imported goods and reduce the outflow of foreign exchange. And then the fuel tax, which replaced the road tax, will also increase prices because it will impact heavily on the business community. I do not believe that tourists should bear a heavy part of the burden of consumption and high levels of debt. You know, and there were some taxes on tourists at the airport and so on. This is a case of punishing the goose that lays the golden egg. The weakness of the austerity budget on the expenditure side relates to the increased public sector wages, salaries, and pensions. This, to my mind, is the most glaring deficiency of the budget. I believe public sector wage costs should be significantly reduced rather than increased.
Opposition Senator Crystal Drakes was taking her oath at Government House in the midst of the budget presentation. Following the brief ceremony, she told reporters while she had not heard the Prime Minister's financial statement, the repealing of the NSRL and the road tax were manifesto promises.
So those would have to be analyzed through some assessments going forward and what implications they would have in conjunction with any other measures looking at revenue. But I think that the Prime Minister will have a full suite of other measures and they would have to be taken into consideration.
Are there any suggestions you would like to offer from an economic standpoint?
From an economic standpoint, more so a holistic standpoint, because of my background in environmental studies, I am curious to see if she will include anything regarding the transition to a green economy and pushing that agenda forward, as well as any opportunities.
In other news, police have identified the man whose lifeless body was found at Wakefield Road, St. John this morning. He is 38-year-old Antonio Mapp of Sherborne No. 3 in the same parish. Mapp's body was spotted by a passerby in a bushy area along with a motorcycle around 8:40 a.m. Police spokesman, Acting Inspector Rodney Innes, says officers are treating his death as unnatural as investigations continue. However, they are appealing to anyone with information to call any police station or police emergency number 211.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, a French national appeared in court today charged in connection with a bomb hoax at St. Lucia's George F.L. Charles Airport. Philippe Gaston Grandjean was charged with the offense of bombs, hoaxes, sending messages or articles to alarm or injure other persons. According to law enforcement authorities, his female companion was released from custody pending further investigations. Over the weekend, operations at the airport were suspended and a thorough search of the facility was conducted after the French nationals claimed a bomb had been placed there. However, no such device was found. Eyewitnesses said the duo made the threats after they had earlier raised objections to paying extra for overweight baggage as they prepared to board a flight to the neighboring French island of Martinique. On the international front, Spain steps in and rescues a vessel adrift in international waters. The humanitarian ship with 629 migrants on board, including 11 children and 7 pregnant women, was rescued off the coast of Libya after Italy and Malta both refused to take the ship in.
Spain has quite literally come to the rescue for the 629 migrants aboard the Aquarius rescue ship, currently drifting in the Mediterranean Sea. Despite urging from the UN and EU, Italy and Malta refused to let it dock. On Monday, Spain's new Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, instructed the eastern port of Valencia to take it in. The Aquarius picked up the migrants at the weekend from inflatable boats off the coast of Libya. Over 100 unaccompanied minors are aboard, as well as 7 pregnant women. Spain's decision comes just in time. The boat has enough supplies to feed the migrants for around 1 more day. It also ends a political standoff. It was Italy's new interior minister and far-right League leader Matteo Salvini who refused the Aquarius entry. Over the weekend, he asked Malta to take it in, but his request was brushed off. Malta said it had nothing to do with the rescue. More than 600,000 migrants have reached Italy by boat from Africa in the past 5 years. The far-right League Party says the bloc is meant as a message to the EU for failing to help Italy deal with the migrant crisis.
And on that note, we come to the end of our news update, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper email updates and like us on Facebook. And you can also sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApps. We're also on Izumi Media and Bus Terminal, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. To have a wonderful evening.